video, I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to relocate on these Chevy Colorados, a GMC Canyon. The transfer case control module is under the seat here. And if your truck has carpet, it's going to be under the carpet, but this truck has no carpet. It just has bed liner. So the issue, if not, you might have to cut a hole under the seat to get access to this. And it's an issue because you'll see when you get out, the mount's all rusted. And if you have carpet, if you get the floor, any moisture on the floor at all, going through water crossing, wet boots, snow, anything, it can get into your module and cause corrosion, and it won't work anymore, and then you won't have four-wheel drive. And also, you'll have to remove this trim. And if you have carpet, you can probably just unplug the cables and maybe cut a little slit and then snake the cables out up under this. But this will be a lot easier in this truck because I have no carpet. I want to start cutting into this wiring harness here, because the idea here is what we're going to do is cut the wires out of this harness, just snake it back up, and just loop the extra up under the dash. Pull that trim piece off. Cut these. I'm just going to cut these fasteners. These are real cheap on Amazon to replace. It's just Christmas tree zip tie fasteners. Looks like we're going to have to extend this purple wire here that either runs over to a sensor or ground over there, or might go to the airbag module. Harness stripped back to here, and the only wire that looks like we're going to have to extend is this purple wire, and I think it's running over to the airbag module. So I'm just going to solder a long wire on it up here and just leave it long, and we connect it once we get this back up under the dash. So that way we can start rebundling this up, and I can use a lot smaller wiring loom than I did when I re-loomed this before, because there's a lot of wires going to this module. So which tells me this module has is doing a lot of functions, and you can see how rusted this bracket is, and it's just under the seat here, so water can easily get in there, especially if carpet, where in a snowy or wet environment, it just hold moisture. These things are not cheap. By just removing the front two bolts, you should be able to just take the pedal assembly and push it out of the way enough to be able to get this harness slipped by the parking brake assembly. And the idea is you want to get the harness all clear of all the pedals and stuff, but I'm going to relocate it right up here behind here on the dash, and I'm just going to zip tie the bundle of wires in this area here, the extra length. But you want to make sure wherever you route the wires that they're not in the way of any of the moving parking brake, clutch, or brake pedal. If you have an automatic, this will be a lot easier because you could utilize some of the space here is taken up by the clutch pedal. Okay, so I got the parking brake pedal out of the way. Because I had to remove the entire clutch pedal because this is the manual. It's just four bolts here. You have to unbolt, and it's a lot easier to access if you remove this gray panel here. You can just use a bunch of extensions and go in through this hole. And this panel has a few screws in it. You unscrew the release for the hood latch, and it just pops right out. And you most likely will not actually have to remove the cable. You probably could just push the parking brake assembly out of the way. But right here, I stopped stripping the harness out and started turning back up over itself because there's a lot of length here, and where I'm relocating the computer, I don't want to like bundle this up, and there's space behind the pedal, so I'm just going to take some zip ties and start zip tying this up to here, routing the wire up with the harness that's up here down the assembly for the pass lock and the ignition switch down here, and I'm going to put the actual computer right here under the steering column in this little area right here. Okay, so I got these cables all zip tied up. I zip tied them up under here to the existing wiring harness. Zip tied it up this way, and then zip tied the module right here. My tab is missing on one of these, so you might need to cut this off or get it out of the way so the dash will clear. I'm just going to bend that one out of the way, and that's secure enough right there. So now let's just put it on. Okay, I got the dash all put back together here. As you can see, now the transfer case module is up here with a good water level up here. So if this is any on the water, that's probably my least of concerns because some other things will be really underwater. And then one thing just to watch out for is when you're working up under the parking brake, make sure you route the cable so it doesn't get hung up. I got the trim all put back, and it should have come under the dash from the factory instead of under the seat, which is stupid. I still have this yaw sensor for the ABS down here, which could be a potential issue. But if like it's for the ABS system, which I'm not super concerned about because I have a fault code, I can still get out of the woods. You know, I would definitely might need 4-wheel drive to get out of a mud hole or something if I happen to be stuck in 2-wheel drive when I get wet.